Hi there, welcome back to Grow With Me. Follow me from seed to harvest. In this series, I'm going to show you how you can grow vegetables in a small apartment, like my apartment here, to transplant either into your garden or onto your balcony. My name is Lena. I'm the owner and operator of Good Natured Garden Care, a gardening company in Toronto, Canada. At this point, you'll have sown your seeds after setting up your indoor greenhouse. You can see how to do that in my previous videos. I'm going to show you some plants that I seeded that I've already transplanted out of their initial pots, and then I'll show you how to do that. This tomato was planted on February 26th. So you can see how long it took. It's a little leggy. I'm going to repot it again. But yeah, so you can see the progress, February, March, so in 2 months, this is kind of what you're gonna have with the tomato. And thankfully, I'm gonna be able to plant these outside, probably at the end of May. So that's pretty good progress. This is my cherry tomato. It's indeterminate. I've got a Roma tomato. I believe this one is determinate. The difference being the indeterminate one, you can see it's actually bigger, but also it'll keep growing and producing fruit, whereas the determinate one will grow to a certain point and will set fruit. So the determinate tomato is better if you have something like a container and you don't have a huge amount of space, and so this is what I would recommend for a balcony. Indeterminate tomatoes are great if you have more space, like a garden bed, you have lots of light, things like that. These are great because they'll produce much more fruit over the span of the season, and you'll be able to really capitalize on your space. Last video you would have seen I sowed this dill so March 3rd I sowed it. So this is the progress I have after, I guess, almost 2 months now. So what I'm going to be doing is repotting this, splitting it up and repotting it into some larger pots. I have another tomato that has taken a really long time to grow. It's quite chlorotic, meaning it's yellow. I think there's a problem with these peat pots. They're not providing the proper amount of nutrients for these little tomato plants to grow, because my other ones have grown quite well. So I will be transplanting these guys as well, hoping that maybe by putting them in actual soil with some compost, it'll give them a little bit of a boost. Here, see those little two first leaves that emerge? Those are called cotyledons, or first leaves, or baby leaves. Those are, on a lot of plants, they'll emerge as the first two leaves. They're called baby leaves because they're not true leaves. So you see here, on this tomato plant, the true leaves have come out. So these are these kind of incised, more tomato-like leaves. Just to remind you, the tomato leaf looks more like this, kind of like a, with lots of indentations on it. This tomato seedling hardly has 2 sets. So there's 1, 2, right? So that's just something to note, because when you're transplanting, you want to transplant when your seedling has at least its first set of true leaves. So a lot of these are ready for transplanting. Some, like I said, they're really struggling. I'm still going to transplant them just to see what's going to happen. What else do we have that I'll show you? Oh, okay, yeah, I sowed these cucumbers on March 20th, so not too long ago, about a month ago, and they're doing quite well. And here you can also see the distinction between the baby leaves, the cotyledons, and the first set of true leaves. So let's get started. In order to transplant your seedlings, you're gonna need some 4-inch pots, some potting soil, and you know, a nice space to work with. I just use this bin, so I will still get soil on the ground, and my boyfriend's okay with that. But I'm gonna try not to get too much, and I'm gonna clean up after myself. The other thing you might want to use is stickers, so you can write down when you're transplanting or whatever else information you need to know. Maybe just transfer these stickers over. Let's start with these tomatoes, because I just feel bad. I feel bad for these tomatoes. They, I don't know if it's because they're a larger beefsteak variety, that they're taking so long, and they just, or if it's because these coconut coir pellets, there's something wrong with them, and they're not, you know, the thing about coconut coir pellets, they actually don't have any organic matter in it, as opposed to potting soil, which is good for some plants, but perhaps it's not so great for tomatoes. So in the future, I'll probably just seed my tomatoes directly into a potting soil, because they do seem to need that little bit of organic matter, you know, because I have these nice green ones that, you know, worked really well, that I had planted in potting soil, whereas these ones really are struggling. I haven't tried this variety before either. It's called Oxheart tomato. So maybe it's something to do with the variety too. It is an heirloom variety, so they should be quite nice. So this is easy enough. This is the nice thing about coconut coir pellets. So you can see the root system is quite delicate. It's growing out around. And I'm just going to tear this open a little bit. And not too much, because I don't want to disturb the root system, because that's the main benefit of using coconut coir pellets, is the ease of transplanting. So what I'm doing is I filled my pot up about halfway with soil, and I'm going to put the seedling in. And you'll notice that I'm actually burying it a lot deeper than it was. That is because when you bury a seedling deeper, it'll create a stronger root system, because what will happen is all the buds along the stem of the tomato will respond to the soil and produce rootlets. So there you go. That's one seedling transplanted. So there's two seedlings in here, right? One is doing relatively well. It has its true leaves. One is just kind of emerged, not doing much. What I'm going to do, because I don't want to separate these with the soil, I don't want to disturb their lovely root system, I am going to do a bit of natural selection, or maybe unnatural selection, because I'm doing it. So I'm going to take this seedling, and with my thumb and forefinger, or with a pair of scissors, I'm going to just behead it. And this is something I learned in college when I was learning about horticulture, is you don't want to just pull it out, because it might damage the seedling that I want. So again, there's our second one. Again, I have my pot kind of half filled with soil. I'm gonna put that in and bury it, and we'll tell it to have a nice good life. You'll be just fine. I'm really hoping that with the potting soil mix, taking it out of the inorganic one, it'll really take off. And I'm quite encouraged, actually. I didn't notice initially. I'm quite encouraged by the root systems on some of these. So they are growing, it just maybe at a slower rate than the other ones. So there's my second guy. Okay, who's next? I think I'm going to take this guy. Again, not too encouraging, because it just has the two true leaves on there. The cotyledons, or baby leaves, have fallen off. And you can see I've done some selection there as well. I cut off a weaker one. Let's go. I believe in you. I believe in this seedling. Doesn't look like much now, but I believe in the potential. A lot of gardening is being able to visualize how things will turn out. You know, you look at a garden that's maybe been neglected, and you think, I wonder how this garden was imagined. So the person who planted this, you know, 10 years ago, or 50 years ago, or 100 years ago, I wonder what their intention was. And then also, if I'm working for a client, I'll think, what are my client's priorities? Like, what do they like, what do they not like, and how can I merge those two visions of the initial intent of the gardener, the design, the landscape, my client's needs, and also add a bit of my own personal flair to it. Sounds complicated, but I love doing that. It's definitely a balancing act, and I really enjoy it. So there's our tomato number 4. Okay, I think the peppers really need a new home. They're very slow growing. I started them, again, February 26th, as a hot banana pepper. So there's these little white bumps on the stems of the seedlings that when I transplant them, I'm going to plant them a little deeper, and all these little white bumps will develop into roots, which is kind of exciting. So I'm just going to push that out. As you can see, because I was in a clay pot, I had a little pebble on the bottom just to stop the soil from eroding. So I've taken it out. Oh, they're quite wet. Okay. So because these don't have as substantial amount of soil that I'm transplanting with them, I'm going to fill my pots a little more. So I'm filling my pots almost to the top now. I'm pressing it down so there's less air pockets. So what I'm going to do is, and has to be done very quickly, I'm going to separate them out. So there's 2. So I'm going to try to keep as much soil on the root systems as I can. There's 3. So just very, very gently, oh my goodness, very gently pull them apart. So there's my little peppers. And because they're so slow growing, I'm just gonna put like two per pot, because they're not gonna really take that much space up. You can see they look a lot shorter because I've actually buried that part of the stem where I was showing you that has rootlets emerging. So there you go. There's hot banana peppers, pot number 1. And then I have here my other hot banana peppers, pot number 2. So I'm just filling around, and I'm giving them a little more room. I'm giving their roots a little more space to grow. And I'm planting several per pot because they're going to grow slowly, and I can transplant them again when they get a little bigger. Grow! Grow, peppers, grow! It's not necessary to talk to your plants, but it might be beneficial, especially if you're in isolation and you have no one else to talk to, other than your immediate family, that is. Okay. There you go. Okay, let's do the dill. I planted it in my last video. This is seeds that I had collected from a previous plant that I had. And instead of splitting every single one of these little dill things, they kind of grow in bunches. They don't mind. So I'm probably going to split this in half. So what that's going to do is it's going to give me 2 4-inch plants instead of 1. And it's going to allow the root systems of each respective side to grow. So again, I'm filling my pots up about halfway with soil. If the soil is moist, if your soil is dry, please see my other videos on how to tell if your soil is moist or dry. But if your soil is dry, make sure to wet it before planting. Here we go. Dill. Pop it out. Trick. Do not pull on the plant when you pop it out. What I'm going to do, squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze. I'm going to squeeze it, squeeze it. There you go. And there you can see all the lovely root system of that dill. And I'm going to very carefully separate it into 2 pieces. There you go. Okay, I'm going to take a little soil out, and I'm going to fill around it. It's a little different, so every situation is a little different. I mean, you'll get a feel for it. You know, talking to the plants helps. You know, you ask them, like, what do you need from me? How can I help you? Do you want to be planted this way, or what would you like? Because when you're growing food plants, they will nurture you. You know, when you bring them to a harvest, you will feast on them. But first, you must nurture your plants. So, And when I say talk to your plants, you know, it sounds a little crazy, but on a more rational level, it just means paying attention. Paying attention to the plants, you know, the color, the, you know, the way they're growing, how much water they use in a day. Different plants have different watering requirements, as you may know, so there's no gardener that knows the watering requirements of every single plant, trust me. So becoming a good gardener is a lot about learning to read the signs. You're reading the signs that your plant is telling you. You know, I need more soil, I need less soil, I need more water, I need less water. You know, stop watering me. A lot of plants are saying that. Stop! Let me breathe! One of the main causes of plant death is overwatering. So please notice when your plants are overwatered. I might do a video on that, because it's heartbreaking. People kill their plants with love. You think that you're caring for your plant. Oh, let me give you a little more water. Oh, you're not looking so good. Let me give you more water. And how tragic is that you're slowly drowning your plant to death. So I've put in my clumps of dill. And dill does like a drier soil in general, so I don't need to do any supplemental watering, even though it's a little on the drier side. There you go. I've got my 2 little pots of dill that I'm gonna wait grow on, and the next size up will probably be a 6-inch pot for these guys. Okay, I need to transplant my chamomile. Fast forward now, my video cut out, but magically, with the magic of plants, I have transplanted these 2 into, instead of being in 1 4-inch pot, into 2 4-inch pots, the same way I did with the dill. So now we have the tomatoes, we have the hot peppers, the dill, and the chamomile. And that's it for today. I'm gonna just keep on working on my little planties here. For the cucumber, I'm gonna transplant it either individually or a 2 per pot, like I did with the peppers. And I have some more hot peppers. These ones are jalapenos. And I'm going to transplant them again individually, burying the root system quite a bit to encourage better rooting. So I really appreciate you taking the time to spend these few minutes of your day with me, and I really hope your plants are doing well. If you have any questions, please comment below. I love talking about plants. And thanks for watching, and take care till the next video. Enjoy the sunshine.